talk later or now.
It's the irony mug.
It,
It's my irony mug. Yeah.
it is good to see everyone. Welcome. I hope you are having a great start to your Tuesday. Uh, if you are new, as always, hit that like and subscribe button, hit the bell,
Yes.
notification, and
Mhm.
leave a comment in the chat with us. If you're just coming in, say hello, tell us where you're from, and add a question. If you have a question for us, we'd love to answer. And also, sometimes we even take those questions and make a whole session about it.
For
So
sure.
do not be afraid. Do not be afraid to ask away.
Never.
Hi, Gabby.
Hi.
What are we talking about today?
We are continuing our discussion about taxes and we are talking about expenses.
Yes, absolutely. So why don't you kick us off?
Okay. Oh, this is exciting.
Yes.
All right. I love expenses. I love talking about expenses. I love helping people save money. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm a frugal person myself.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just one of those, like, if I can get it on sale,
Mm-hmm.
very exciting. Um, so expenses are what I find, Anthony, is one of the things that a lot of new voice actors don't know enough about, and I'm shocked. I'm always like, "What?" Okay. I'm going to start this by saying I had a buddy who worked at the IRS, and he actually did a workshop for me many, many years ago for a group of voice actors. And the number one thing that he said, it was like his caveat for everything. He was like, the way the IRS views expenses is it ordinary and is it necessary? Those are the two things you have to answer when it comes to, can I expense this for my business? Is it an ordinary expense and is it a necessary expense? If the answer is yes, then you are pretty much greenlit to expense that item. Now, every type of business has very specific subcategories of things that they can and cannot expense. So, like, I'll give you an example, right? So, if you work in construction, you can expense a trip to Home Depot. You can expense tools and building materials and things like that. Now, as a voice actor, right? Now, let's say you're building your studio. Sure, you could expense those things. But then, I don't know, in 6 months, if you decide to buy a new drill, right? You've really got to ask yourself, am I going to use this for business or is this really a personal thing? Because that's what makes the difference. Now, we can expense things that, like, a contractor or somebody who works in construction normally couldn't. What sorts of things are those? These are fun. Subscription services, streaming services, Netflix, Hulu, Disney Plus. Why? Research and development. We need those things to be able to monitor our craft and to see what's happening inside of our craft. I always find it funny when I get, voice actors who squeal when they find out they can, expense their Crunchyroll subscription if they're anime people. Um, we can expense movie tickets. We can expense entertainment related items that, again, other companies can't because it's part of our world. But okay, the big overarching categories, though, especially for us, is business use of home. Business use of home is freaking huge, right?
Yep. Yep.
So what are the rules? You have to have a designated space in your house that is used for business,
Mm-hmm.
right? Anthony, how big is your office? What's your square
Mm,
footage? Roughly.
so my office is it is 10 by 10.
So it's like 120 square feet.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm super spoiled in that I have a massive space in my house, which was a garage originally that was already converted. It's over 420 square feet, is the size of my office. So, what you do is you take the full square footage of your home and you take the square footage of your workspace and you figure out the percentage, right? What percentage of your home is your office? And by doing that, that same percentage can be applied to all of your corresponding bills for your house. So let's say it's 25%. That's super high for most people. It's not going to be, but let's just use that as a round number, right? If it's 25%, you can take 25% of your electric bill, 25% of your water bill, 25% of your mortgage, shockingly, 25% of your rent if you are a renter, 25% of any and all expenditures related to your house. Now, here's where it also gets fun. Remember that ordinary and necessary thing? Your internet bill, your phone bill, your cell phone, right? There are certain things that you can put specifically under your business. The business can be the name on the utility or on the bill. And when you do that, then it's 100% deductible. Okay. So
Can I
that,
say I just have to put it,
yeah.
guys. One of the everything that Gabby's saying right now, one of the biggest mistakes I made, and I think a lot of voice actors make, is the exact same thing that Gabby's talking about right now, is not thinking that every aspect of your life basically is an expense.
Yeah.
All right? Like here's a perfect example. If I go even meals, if I go out and have a business meeting, that
Mm-hmm.
meal is an expense.
Mm-hmm.
All right? Now, you need to make sure you keep at least right on the receipt that it was a business meal. But the
Right.
point is like these things are, and what she just said about I kick myself for all the money I spent for not, putting down
Mm.
how much, cuz for example, my phone, I conduct so much of my business through my phone,
Who doesn't? Right?
right? Most of us do, right? All the daily expense it costs to power the place, do all the internet, your TV, we
Mm-hmm.
use all of these things, and you write down you need to like expense the snot out of it.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? And again, that was one of the biggest mistakes ever made, was not expensing things,
A
just
lot of
thinking that it
people.
was a normal cost, because I was used to living from a paycheck,
Yeah.
an employee
Yep.
standpoint, not a business standpoint.
Yeah. It's a very common thing that a lot of people miss out on. Classes. Oh my God. Sometimes I meet voiceover students and they're like, "What do you mean I can expense my classes?" And I'm like, "Oh no." Right? Your classes, your website, your demos, all of this stuff. Now, something, bless you,
Excuse me.
something that's fun to keep in mind is when it's tough or where it's tough, and this is where you have to talk to your accountant and your CPA, right? Is that if you're a brand new business and you are fueling, funneling, right, supporting financially the business at its start, basically you're spending more than you're making, you have to expense that properly so that what you're showing is startup expense. And there's a window in which to do that. You actually have a couple of years where you can carry over expenses if necessary. But again, these are things that your accountant can help you figure out. Um, and it's hugely important because, okay, so real fun, something that a lot of people again don't know, the federal government has a sort of formula of how they view new business ventures. And one of the statistics that is almost 100% across the board is that new businesses fail for the first 5 years. New businesses are frequently not in a state of profit for their first 5 years in existence. That's very normal. So, as a new business owner, one of the ways and one of the things that you do is you learn really quickly, like, how can I maximize those first 5 years, right? How can I basically make it look like on paper
Right.
I make no money? And then you start to slowly move into a profit place. And that's
Yes, that's absolutely
yeah.
right. Yes, you can show
Oh,
a negative profit for at least 5 years, for the
yeah.
first 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. So we had Sarah asked, do I have to put the business name in a utility in order to expense it? No, you do
You
not
don't.
have to do that. Typically, what you do is you can, with your well, again, and I think it's so helpful. It really is helpful to have a CPA, bookkeepers,
Hmm.
accountants. This is where it's vital because you can, put this stuff on a spreadsheet. You can keep track of yourself, but they know what line items to put it on in
Yeah.
your profit and loss statement
Yeah.
and your balance sheets and your tax stuff. But basically, what I do is I say, okay, this X amount percentage is being used, just what Gabby said, for my
Mhm.
utilities, for my electricity, for my phone bill, for all of my bills basically.
Yep.
That pertain to my business. I'm putting a percentage down that I'm using. And quite honestly, it's quite high
Yeah.
because this is literally my whole life. Everything revolves around this business because we solely work on the internet and utilize every time we watch a commercial. This is everybody. This is where you have to begin to think completely. If you have been an employee your whole life, you've got to think completely differently
You
than
do.
you've thought in the past, right? Because we never. So I look at it as, do I ever stop running my business?
No.
This is how I look at it. I'm never stop being a business owner at all times, no matter
Mhm.
what time of the day it is. You know what I mean? I even tried, Gabby, to get. I was gonna get a sticker made, a sticker for my truck, and put on there, so I could start marketing because you can write off like for
Yes.
marketing purposes
Yes. Then you can write
specific
off.
things. You
Yeah.
can't necessarily most places in what we do, our car at the moment or whatever our
Yeah.
transportation is not it's not an essential for what we do. So some businesses, a car is essential, so
Hmm.
you use it. But if it's more personal use than it is business use,
Hmm.
that's one of those expenses for us that might be a little sketchy.
Yeah.
But you can say, hey, look, I spend X amount, a month on marketing for this, and I'm paying, how much of that part of my car. Like, now, one thing that you do that I've started doing that I didn't do is I do, like, whenever I travel to a conference, whenever I travel to meet people, whenever I go have business meetings, write down the mileage.
Oh yeah.
You get I think it's like, I don't know if it's 70 some cents or
Hmm.
80. I can't remember how much cents it is a mile.
Yeah.
But
It's a
right, you
lot.
can't write off gas, but you can write off miles. All right, write off miles, and you get paid for, like, there's so much to write off for expenses, and a lot of times you won't know it because you think that's just what I pay for.
Right. Business trips. So remember when I was talking about a week or two ago about being in Florida and my husband going, "Oh my God," and I detoured our entire vacation.
Business trip.
I
It's
expensed
all a business
I
trip.
expensed the entire
It's
trip the minute
that's
that
I mean,
happened. The
right?
whole trip was
Exactly.
a business expense because
Exactly.
it ended up having to be a work trip.
And I had promised you, if now, again, you can do whatever you want, but if you start to look at it this way,
Mhm.
start to find any sort of situation,
Mhm.
because again, I would put it this way: when do you stop being you're a business owner? When do you stop
Amen to
thinking
that.
about it? When do you stop interacting? I mean, you never. Now,
Mhm.
if you are going places and not, just what Gabby said, I mean, because you could go somewhere and do some sort of training, go see a studio, go do something that pertains to your business, meeting people, doing something. That's a trip.
Yeah.
I mean, we went. My wife and I had gone to um, a place, and I was working through learning the studios and going to meet some people down in
Mhm.
Virginia Beach and stuff.
I've done that.
Now, we also had a beautiful time together with, and I, on the beach, and had some restaurants and things like that. So it was a wonderful business trip, but also a very nice time.
I have
You've got to think
totally.
of it this way, and all of
Yes.
that expense is written off. And you would say, why do I want to do that in general? It's because our number one expense, our number one cost as business owners is taxes.
Yes.
And you got to start thinking that way, and it will help you so much to where you'll breathe. You'll be like, oh, basically, most of my life is an expense.
Right.
Yes.
So many of I get asked so often. People are always like, "Gabby, why don't you do a travel rig?" I'm like, "Let me tell you why I don't do a travel rig. Because if I pre-plan some appointments or some trips at a local studio when I'm in town and I'm visiting, that allows me to convert it into a business expense.
Mm.
And I would much rather do that than bring a travel rig because, yeah, I technically save myself more money that way.
Oh,
So, yeah,
absolutely.
there's a lot of different things that you start learning, and you can go online and you can start to better understand business use of home tax structure.
Hmm.
You can, there are lists for this. I talk about it in my book, in my business book, Voiceover CEO, where I get into like a whole breakdown of all the different, categories and things. So
So,
that's the kind of
yeah,
stuff you want to look at. Um,
absolutely.
I know we have a couple of questions. They're a little bit off topic, but I
Well, we have
mean,
one. Tracy has one, and
yeah.
I don't know if it was a question or not. It says best to expense my internet. I'm not
Mm-hmm.
sure, um, but absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. And like, so for example, let's say you have your internet bill, and you're like, okay, well, let's be honest. My some of my family also uses the
Who cares?
internet, right? So you're like, okay, well, that's true. So someone uses the
It
internet.
is.
So you decide, okay, well, I put down 90% of the internet use is from a business. I
Here's
mean,
how I look at it too. If
put
you're
it
home
down.
all day and you're working and other people in your
Right,
home are not home,
right.
like to me, it's optional whether or not I sit my butt on the couch in the evening and watch something on television or use, the internet after hours. But again, ordinary and necessary. We can't work without the internet. That sums it up right
And
there.
you are always training.
Mm,
I hate to say this, you're playing a video game, there's voiceovers. You are trained. I know
research
this
and development.
seems strange to you because you've never thought of it this way before. But whenever you talked about, hey, I was watching a commercial and I thought to
Yep.
myself, I could done better than that. And then I started practicing that. Exactly.
Hmm.
I know, but that is the luck. That's our
Yes.
business.
Yes.
It's
And
a
it
part of what we do.
and
You
there is a
got to think
category
that way.
for it. R&D, research and
Yeah.
development. Yep.
Oh yeah. Now
If
I
you
even went as far, Gabby, to say because I was doing these videos that
mm,
my haircuts and
yes.
everything, all these like the things that I wear should be expensed. Absolutely. So you actually can expense things. Now they ask you to have like so I wear my Academy Voices shirt.
Yes.
Sometimes they do ask is it a like they
Mhm.
tried to
Mhm.
make it a uniform. That would be better, like if you had a shirt that said your logo on it or something that's that's and it's something
Oh yeah.
consistent. But the point is that you've got to think like this.
Yeah.
So this Sarah says, wait, you can expense video games. Yeah, I mean, and I've learned too, what Gabby just said, this is important too, learning the terms,
Mhm.
learning what you can do. This is very important too, because a lot of times your accounts and stuff, you'll go to them and they're very, which is what they do, they're very numbers oriented, so it's kind of black and white. So
Mhm.
they'll say, this is this, unless you ask the right question or you ask it the right way, right? So learning, even though you have these people, in the end it's still very important that you understand it yourself.
For
You know
sure.
what I mean? And then if you have a question, that's where you ask them, hey, is this something I can and can't do? We do have
I'm gonna
Patricia
tell
has.
you, one of my
Oh, go ahead.
funniest expenses is in my hand. I'm the only
Oh
person
yeah,
in my house who drinks coffee. My business buys all the coffee.
I love it. I love it. And I think what happens a lot of times too is is at first when you get started, it's easy to be like, well, that's only a couple bucks here or
Right,
there. But
but they add up
this, oh my
quick.
God. And think of over a year,
Mhm.
it adds up. It
Sure
so
does.
adds up.
Okay,
So
go to Patricia's question.
yeah, Patricia's question said, I'm struggling with my personal brand name. Dunno. Use my regular name and last name. Is it too long? Is it difficult to pronounce it so much?
Well, Patricia, I mean, my last name is Nistico. Nobody knows how to pronounce it, right? My full name, Gabrielle Nistico, is kind of a mouthful. I use it. And
Think of a space VO apostrophe S space journey. Who in their right mind would ever try to brand a VO's journey? And I talk to people today and they're like, what do you mean? That's a perfect name. It was like, think about
but
that.
even things like, okay, like your last name on the surface, it seems really simple. I feel like if people didn't know Pikachu or Pika, people would spell it 8 million different ways and obliterate it most of the time. You can't worry
It's a
so much about
disease.
that. Um,
Pika.
use your name, own your name, buy your domain. Do you have to use it as your primary marketing? No, not necessarily. Remember, I go by a moniker. I go by VoiceOver Vixen out in the voiceover sphere. And I mean, that works. You may come up with something like that. You may have a situation where you have some sort of nickname that ends up developing, but also,
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
secure your name.
Well, here's a
Yeah.
perfect example. Gary Vaynerchuk.
Oh my God.
I mean,
Gary
can you
V.
imagine Vaynerchuk? I mean, what a
No one
name.
knows how to spell it.
But
That's
that
why he goes by
guy,
Gary V.
but you all know that Gary V, right? So I mean, like, there's like,
Mhm.
use your name. Don't be afraid of your name, and stuff will come out of it too. You
Yeah.
know.
Like, I mean,
Um.
what if you chopped off the last syllable? What if you shortened it? Like looking at your last name, Patricia, like what if it was just Tucson or Tucson or however you would pronounce that?
Yeah.
There's always a way. Stage names are very real. We create them for reasons.
Mm-hmm.
Plenty of voice actors use stage names as opposed to their
Mm-hmm.
real names. You'd be amazed. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Great question.
No.
Um.
Oh, we're at
So
time.
yeah. So listen, everybody. Great job today. I think we definitely got some really good information here.
Mm-hmm.
Um. Like I said, if I could part today's ending on the expense, please, 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 whether if you're just new or even been a little
Mm-hmm.
while, please don't overlook this. This is probably one of the biggest things. If I could go back and do something differently with my business, I would have from the very beginning taken these expenses more
Yeah.
seriously. But I didn't know, of course, but I would have, I didn't realize at this point everything I do, and think about it this way, everything you do has some purpose revolving around your business.
Totally.
I mean, like, it is a, and so you need the government allows you to expense these things. They
Mm-hmm.
didn't, it's not real, it's real thing, and
Yeah.
it's set up that way.
Yeah, and you're not doing anything wrong
Right.
or like this is all standard stuff. So yes, learn your expenses. Tomorrow we'll talk about retirements and SEPs and Roths. Oh my. That'll be fun.
Absolutely. Thank you guys, everybody. Really appreciate it. And then don't forget, Avio's Journey Academy. You
Yeah.
can have this and so much more all the time and direct access to us and a lot of amazing individuals. Check us out over there. We're starting a new month. The new schedule has just come out. This is a great time to join us. We're also offering 50% off the first month to give us a try. Check it out. aviosjourney.com. We'd love to have you. Bye, everybody. Goodbye. 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 Goodbye.